Okay, guys, here are a couple of knives, some matching customs from Alex over the Knife Box channel that loaned these in. And I'm not going to say these are interesting. They're unique. They are different, all handmade, and have some interesting nuances to them, I think is the best way to say it. And some different materials. So let's get into it. So these are from Farid Mehr. You have the Mini K2 and the K2. They're very similar knives, so I figured rather than making a separate video for each, I would just talk about them both, right? They're generally the same, just different dimensions and a few different nuances between the two. But I'm not really that guy that just tries to make videos and drag it out and do an unboxing and a first impression and then a long-term thing and then a review and like 5 videos later on one knife. I'm not that guy. I just kind of cut to the chase, tell you what I think about it, let you go on your merry way. So let's talk about these two. And I think they're ugly in an awesome way, if that makes sense. They're very interesting looking. They're very plain Jane looking. They have a very unique lock bar cutout style, and that's very much one of his signature styles that he does when making a knife. And I think that's very unique and interesting. And I like that. Other than that, I just kind of the totalitarian, that's not the right word. It's very much a tool looking knife, right? These, to me, these epitomize a tool, the look of a tool. And they're not my exact favorite blade shape, but they're very tool looking. And we'll take a close-up look at these again. But they're very tool-ish. Maybe that's the word I was looking for. The grinds on these blades are different. This particular one, Alex got brand new from Farid as a kind of a custom one-off. And let's just zoom in and take a close look at these and talk about some of the nuances here. So we're using D3 blade steel, which is super tough. I'm not even going to try to compare it to other steels because I am not a steel snob by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm just going to tell you it's D3, which is stronger and tougher than D2. And I'm not going to try to tell you what it compares to, but it is a very tough tool steel. Okay. Now, there are things on these knives I would change. One, they're just very flat titanium scales that are not the most comfortable. I mean, it's comfortable in the hand in the degree with, it's comfortable. It fits well. There's no real hot spot other than the entire perimeter is a hot spot. Chamfering the edges and rounding those and softening all of the perimeter edges would do this knife a tremendous, amazing service. Okay. There is some rounding of the blade, kind of crowning of the spine of the blade, which is awesome. This particular one has a full flat grind with a fuller on the one side. Now, Alex has some suspicions because this hole is a little oblong and it doesn't look purposely done that way. Farid might have gotten a little bit excited with the grinder and turned this normal saber type grind into a full flat grind because the grinder might have gotten away from him. I don't know. Little speculation, because this is, I don't know if that's a design element to have the hole off center like that. I don't know. Okay. What I will tell you is that all of his knives are handmade, and so there's going to be variances in the tolerances, in the dimensions, and you'll notice that when we talk about the dimensions here towards the end. But a cool looking knife. I like the finish on the grinds and all of that. It's just very cool. I'll tell you that there's lock stick on both of these. And from what I understand, this is almost a two-hander. From what I understand, that is just one of his trademark moves. All of his knives have lock stick, quote unquote, by design. For safety is what he's told Alex a number of times. I don't know if I buy that or if it's just crappy lock geometry. Now, I do know that D3 tool steel is more grippy, and you can definitely feel the texture of these grinds here on the bevel. And I think that's just part of the steel, from what I understand and a little bit of reading that I did. Very cool anodized blue backspacer on this one, and more of a burnt orange on this one. This one, again, it feels good in the hand, but it needs softening. Like, it needs it on the big one. When you bear down on this, you're hurting. So if you're going to really use this one, you're going to feel it in your hand in a not a good way. But something about these, I think, is very cool. There is a little bit of, I'm not going to say texture, but like very fine sandpaper. It's not smooth like my Shargnivko Ryu. Very smooth. This has like a bead blasted finish maybe that's just a little bit, ever so slightly textured. Chalky, okay? Kind of like when aluminum, on some ProTech knives, aluminum knives get chalky. That's what this one feels like to me. Less so on the Mini. Slightly there, but not as pronounced. It's very strange. So let's talk about the dimensions and the specs real quick. Okay? And I'll just run through the Mini and then the full size. So the Mini is 4 5/8 closed, 8.5 overall, 3.85 inch blade with a 3.51 cutting edge. The blade thickness is 0.207, overall thickness of 0.517. And it weighs in at 5.4 ounces for the little guy. And they both run on Teflon washers. Okay? So for the big one, you're 5.5 closed, 9 7/8 overall, 4.47, 3.96 cutting edge, also in D3, with a 0.193 inch blade stock. So a little bit thinner blade than on the Mini, and 0.504 overall versus the 0.517. So the bigger knife is slightly thinner. Also runs on Teflon washers. Bent titanium pocket clip, which works fantastically. You know I am a big pocket clip person. The pocket clip works great. Okay? Now, I'm not a knife designer, but a couple of things that do sort of stand out to me is it's very smooth on this side with the hardware. Over here on the lock side, we have a big button head for the pivot, a button head for the back spacer, button head for the lock over travel stop, and a button head for the pocket clip. Button head for the pocket clip, totally fine. Don't care about that. This one and this one kind of stick out of place for me. And when I first put it in my pocket, I thought this button head screw was holding it up in my pocket by not letting it go all the way in, but it wasn't. But I got that impression when I just kind of first put it in my pocket. This one has less lock stick. Now, when Alex bought this, I think he bought it, brand new from Knife Center, the big one, back in like 2013. He got one and it had terrible lock stick. He sent it back. Like he called Knife Center and Knife Center said, dude, that's just how they are. So he talked to them. He goes, look, I'm sending it back anyway. Talked to somebody specific in Knife Center and said, look, if you get it back and you tell me that's normal, fine. But I want you to look at it. Knife Center got it and said, dude, you're right, Alex. This thing is bad. I will send you the best one we have. So this one was hand-picked by Knife Center to have the least amount of lock stick. And it does. I can release that one with one hand. The Mini, that time I could. I think it does depend on temperature, weather, how hard you opened it or locked it. Okay. Alex says it's very temperamental. Sometimes it's got a lot of lock stick and sometimes it doesn't. That's not ideal for me. There's a million people out there doing titanium frame locks that have no lock bar insert, like the Shark Nivco Ryu. It has zero lock stick. It never has, as long as I've owned it. I think there was a lock stick problem when they first produced it and sent it out. I think it did have some lock stick, but there's nothing. Every single Sebenza out there, there is no lock bar insert. And I've handled 10 plus Sebenzas, and my brother's handled at least that many, if not more. My brother's probably handled 50. And never, ever lock stick. So it can be done. So Farid either needs to work on his geometry or put in lock bar inserts and go from there. Because that is a problem. It shouldn't leave marks on my finger from trying to unlock it. Even if I open it slow, it's sticky. Certainly is sticky even on the small one. So they're cool even with the issues. I kind of want one. I think they're cool. I'm not buying. I am sticking to just a couple of knives this year of 2022. So far, in my mind. Anyway, we'll see. And I talked about that in a previous video. You can go back and look for that. Or maybe I'll put a little thing at the end about, can you buy just one knife in a year? I figured out how to do those little card things at the end of the video. So check that out. I'll put one of those for this. I will also put a link down below to Farid's Instagram, where he actually has another batch of these knives currently going. So you can reach out and get in on the drop if you are so inclined, but no, you'll probably have lock stick. But it's really kind of a beater tool-ish knife. So I think it works. The lock stick is a deal for me though. So take that with a grain of salt if you are looking to get one of these. So we've gone very long. I'm going to do some very quick size comparisons just to give you an idea. Okay, here it is with the Sharpie and the number 2 pencil. Okay, I don't want to drag out this video longer than it needs to be. Here is next to the Spyderco Delica and the AA and D cell batteries. And since we pulled out the Sharknivko Ryu, very similar in, you know, kind of material, just straight titanium. So tweak my coin a little bit. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, Alex. There will be a link to his channel down below also. And have yourselves a great day, and go check out the other video about can you buy just one knife in a year. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.